everybody. I wanted to give you the first introductory to the coursework I'm going to give. I'm going to have a website opening up with coursework that I want to give classes that you can come in on and watch what I do. And I want to start off what I would be doing. I'm going to save this project to my website, where I will list my website as part of the commentary on this, so you can get this project there and look at it. I want to be able to give this to you freely so you can develop your applications, whatever you need. So we're going to create a new project in Xcode. I want to go through this in terms of storyboarding. Storyboarding is the new thing. What happened was Xcode has, or I should say Apple has decided, I don't know if I can say that correctly, but I'm not talking on their behalf, but Apple has moved to the storyboarding kind of concept where they've gone away from this navigational controllers where you drop new views, and they want everything done in this whole big, large storyboarding view. So we're going to click Single View Application. This master detail is where you would have a main page and another page. Again, storyboarded. Page space is also storyboarded, where you have a main page and then you flip on that main page to other pages. Where tab is you click on little tabs and open up other windows, and you will see it in the storyboard one window, and you'll have ties, segues to others. And the empty I don't recommend. That's just a blank application with no views, nothing in there but a window. So let's do the single view application, and we're going to call this my new app, and we're going to call this my new project. Let me call it my new project. MNP, my new project. And we're going to call the class prefix MNP. What that will do is any file created will have that prefix. You can leave it out if you want, but I want to show it to you. And, oh, one other thing. This here, we're going to leave this. If you do this on a universal, you can have both an iPad or an iPhone. I want to leave it here for the time being. But it means that you have to have a storyboard for both the iPad and the iPhone. If you do it on one, you just need it for the iPhone. And we're going to go next. It's going to ask us where we want to create this. We're going to save it to our desktop. That's where we chose the place to create it. It's not hugely important. Hang on a minute. And now we see, remember that MNP, my new project? This is my new project app delegate, and the view controller. Now what do we have here? We have the two storyboards for the iPhone and iPad. We have the two view controllers for the one view. Let me go to it here. Hang on. The one view and the storyboard. This view right here. I'm going to open this up, and we have the view controller. This controller, if we look over here on this side here, on the right, you'll see that this class, the view controller class here, controls this view. That's what we want. The app delegate itself is actually a pipeline, as I've always said, in any of my classes, or any of my presentations, I should say, in that, in the older style versions of Xcode, it controlled everything. The views, the information passing between the views. It's been slimlined a bit. It still controls everything. However, if I have something going on in this particular view, I don't need to go to the app delegate. I can simply stay within this view. So if I create a variable, or whatever you want to call it, in this view, I can simply work there. But if I have to go between views, and I use the app delegate as my pipeline, I need to put the information through it because it runs the application. Okay. I want you to click on the view, because that's where we're going to put an item right now. The item we're going to put on the side here is, and by the way, you can change the way you view these at the bottom here, from these icons to information. We're going to just change it, pardon me, to the icons. We're going to drag a button onto our view and just drop that. You notice these lines come up here. We're going to drop it right there. And then above it, we're going to drop some text. Okay. right, like that. Okay, we're going to label this button as a class button. We're going to label it button 1. That's where you put the label for it, button 1. Right, and because we can't see it, we have to expand it. There it is, button 1. And we're going to try to center that. Oops. If we can, there we go. And this is our text box here. If we wanted to have some input here, we could type, for the user to know what it is, input, and that would appear, right? And we can even determine where that input would be placed, how it would, could it be centered, right? We're not going to worry about that. We're going to not put anything in there. If you wanted to tell the user what kind of input, that's what you would do. Okay, so you have button 1 here. We're going to add another button right up here. Okay. And we're going to name this one Next. Whoops, I'm sorry. I'll try that again. Next. Right, okay. Alright. Try to center that too while we're at it. There we go. We'll center it with the other one. Now, we're going to just minimize this a little bit, not too much. You can do that with your pad, your keypad. And we're going to see if we can move over here a little bit. There we go. Now, I'm going to just go back to, instead of these icons here for the actual explanations, I'm going to drag a view controller on here. Another view controller when I create my storyboard. This view controller has no class to run it, essentially. And you notice they're named the same. View controller scene, view controller scene. Right? We're going to add the class file, new. Sorry about that. File, new file. Right there. File, new file. FNF. And we're going to use an Objective-C class for implementation and header files, or declaration we'll call it. And we're going to call this one controller 2. We're not going to worry about having a nib for it. Again, in the older versions you would use a nib. You could have its own nib if you wanted it, if there were a reason to have a nib. The only reason to have a nib for a set of files would be if you're pushing a new view, meaning you're placing a whole new view on top of the stack of views. But we're going to run modal here. The storyboard is designed for modal, not pushing. And we're going to leave it as a view controller. We're going to click Next. It's going to say, okay, where do you want to place this? We'll leave it in the main project of our my new project. We'll let it create it, and it will place it, and there you see them, both of them right here. Now, take a quick look at these. The header file for the original view controller has only 3 items, and you notice the header file for the new one also has 3. The implementation has 2 methods. A view did load and it did receive memory warning. But if we go to this one, we have a 3rd method, and it assumes that you're going to have a nib, so it has this initialize with nib name method. And we're going to just get rid of that. We don't need it for right now. So it will be exactly the same. Okay? Now let's go back to our storyboard. Remember I said this one's controlled, but this one is not? Alright. You want to click into the 3rd item here. It's controlled by a general class called UI View Controller. And hang on a minute. I just want to save this for a moment. Command S to save it. We want to get that view controller 2 as ours. We're going to command save that again. Now it's controlled by this class right here. Okay. The next thing we want to do, and I want you to notice something what happened here. The name of the class controlling it, alright, not the prefix, becomes the name of the view controller. This one here, it had a general view controller name. If you change that, I don't recommend you doing it. I recommend when you add the new class to name it appropriately, it'll become view controller 2 because it's controlled by the 2nd one. It just takes this section right here and it says, okay, bam, it's going to be right there. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing we did in the first one. In this one here, we have the buttons. In this one here, we don't. So we're going to just go right back down to here, and we're going to drag a button. Well, actually, you know what we can do? We can take the items here, and we can use a Shift, or actually I would say a Command, and highlight all of them, and Command V, and come over to our other view, which would be an easier way to do it since we're going to use all of them again. Doesn't matter. And Command C, not Command V. We want to copy, not paste. So hold the Command button down and select each item, and then the C button to copy them, and then we'll come to our view here, hang on, and Command V, and well, we got one. Let's go get the others. For some reason we didn't get all three of them. Button 1, let's highlight these two and copy. Button 1 down. Hang on a minute. Hold the phone. Hold the phones on that one. Okay. I know why. Alright, there we go. Okay, we've got those two. Let's copy the other one. And a little awkward to copy and paste, but it does work. We want to be in the view when we do that. We don't want to get rid of something else. And whoop, it just did. Okay. So why don't we just save face here and just drag a button. Make life easy. Okay. Center it with that one. Okay. We're going to call this button button 2, and we're going to call this button back right. Okay. Hit the wrong letter. Okay, and here, I'm going to open this one up a little bit. There we go. Okay. I'm going to just minimize this a little bit, move over so we can see it. Okay, and bring it up a little bit. There we go. So, we have now two views. We have a next and a back. We're going to come into this one here on the next button and move it over if we can. I want to get it lined up with the other one so things look pretty. Right? And can be a little bit awkward on this one. Okay. Yeah, right like that. Okay, so now the big question becomes, say, hey, all right, how on earth now do we segue from one view to the next? Good question. We're going to go to View Controller 1 with the next button, and we're going to come to the last item on our side right here, and we're going to, you notice we have these kind of events on this one. We're going to hold the Command button down, and we're going to, I'm sorry, the Control button, I take that back, and we're going to hang on a minute. Oh, I'm hitting the Option button. Sorry. Control button. We're going to drag to the other. See that? We're going to drag it to the other view, and it's going to ask us for a segue action. I'll do that again just so I can show it to you. Control button. Put your little hand over it, and drag away, and highlight the other view. Now, you cannot use a push unless you're pushing a new navigational controller. Alright? You only need to do a modal on this one because everything within the storyboard really is modal. There's no need to push it. We're going to hit that, and you notice the item came up, the segue came up. Right? And if we highlight that, it's going to say not applicable. Now, we can go from one to the other. But then the question is, how do we get back? Alright? On the back button, we do the same thing. Drag, control, drag, drop, and modal. Alright? Now I'm going to just show you just make this a little bit smaller so you see. We enter our application here, we push, or we actually modally make a go from one view to the next using a modal, and then come right back here. And notice where it brings it back. It doesn't bring it back on this side. You can move these things if you wanted to. I don't recommend you do it, but you can. These segues. You notice here our segues, if we highlight them, they're in now, right? They're in our view controller. And by highlighting them, let's see, we can even identify those segues by a name, right? And we can change here, instead of doing that click here, and the way it segues, we can do the type of flip horizontal, partial flip, cross dissolve, and so on. We'll show you that in a moment. So let's just run this to show you the idea of segueing. And the first time, for some reason, with iOS 7, when it runs the simulator, it asks you for your password. And I think that is set up because it's the new security feature. So, and it does take a little time on the first time it goes to run the application, because what it's doing is actually writing it to your iPad, iPhone, so to speak. So we're waiting here for a moment, and there's what I said. It asks you for your password. I'll put it in there. Okay, and you see this is R, right? And that, you notice the way it's going between next and back. It's sort of flipping up, right? So let us change our default flip horizontal, and let's highlight the other one too and do the same thing, because I believe the flip is a vertical. Now it won't ask me for my password when I run this again, or it shouldn't. And we're waiting again. Let me come down here to see if it... Okay, here we go. Right. So now we go next, and now it flips that way to back. Depending on how you want to do that, it's up to you. It's really up to you. You can try a cross dissolve or a cover vertical. Try a cover vertical. Let's try that one, and do the other one the same way. And they give you a lot of flexibility here to run this in the way you want. One other thing you'll notice is the real estate in the iOS 7 has changed. So, as we're waiting here, okay. And that's the default. Cover vertical is the same thing as the default, as we saw. And we're going to just try one more here. A cross dissolve. Right? We're actually, why don't we just do the partial curl? That's like a page curl, or it should be. And let's run that too. We'll go to our simulator. Here it is. There it is, and a back. So it's a partial curl, and it just leaves the page right there. Actually, you know what I want to do? I think I want to show you all four of them. And let's do the cross dissolve as well. What I do want to do is show you how to program, and we've done this before, the buttons and the text fields and how they work. What you can do with them. But the main thing I want to do is to show you, and that's in the next presentation, which will be showing you how the app delegate actually functions now in iOS 7. There he goes, and back, crossed is off, which is a nice transition. What that means too for you is, I'm going to go back to the next button here. You would want to set those buttons in the same X and Y. So for example, I'm 132, 115, 4630, and my back button, yeah, what was it? Hang on a minute. 132, 115, so I'll put the back button there as 132, 115, so I have them in the same spot. And that'll move that, and then of course button 2 here is at 136, 496. Yeah. And this is the whole idea of making sure that everything looks the same from page to page, right? And then of course we'll go back to this one here, which is at 112, 430. Yeah. And that way the transition will look as if it's seamless from page to page. We're going to run it one final time for this course. I'm going to save this project. I'm going to place it on my web page for you to have access to, and you will have access to it. You can look at the project, you can play with it, and in the next phase of this, we're going to add code to the button and to the text field, and we're also going to then change that code or vary it so that whatever I place in, isn't that nice? Really looks good. You may be saying, well, where is button 1, button 2 here? I was mentioning the real estate issue is one of these things that if you place them too far to the bottom, you don't see them. So we're going to move this up and this one up as well. And I noticed this issue early on. 126, 411 and 126, 411. Let's put that over here. And it changed the real estate for some reason. I don't know why. And we're at 107, 354. Oh, I just hit Skype. 354. And let's put that in there. And we'll show that one final time here so you can see, for some unusual reason, the real estate that we see on the iOS has dramatically changed. I don't know why. I know people don't like it. I know they're not friends of it, friendly to it. The simulator isn't really friendly either. It's changed a great deal. The home button is gone. I'll show you where that is in a moment. And there we have it. So now they're back on there. See, we moved them up. So this region here is very, very unusual. And button 1 and button 2. Right? We may not be exactly at the same X position. In any event, let me just do a quick check on the positions of the buttons. 55, 30, and over here, okay, that's why. Alright, let's put this at 55. Let's make them the same. Save it. Command S. That's your save key, by the way. Command S and Command R would be to run it on your MacBook. And we're getting to the close here. I just want to show you a seamless run between two different views in a storyboard. Okay, here we come. We're coming up right now. It's running it. Okay, so we should see a transition that's seamless, and there you see it, from 1 to 2, as if nothing happened from back to forward. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to program this button. Right now nothing happens, right? And the same thing with button 2, nothing happens. We want to program this button to put information into here. And we also want to program it to then send information from one from one view to the next. And why is that important? Because you'll understand how the app delegate works. Okay, one last thing. On the hardware for the simulator, the home is here. If I click home, it'll minimize this. These are other applications. And now you'll see why the real estate is so small, because this stuff has to be here on it. And when we come back, we'll finish up. Like I say, this is going to be StoryBoard Project 1 for the new tutorials I'm going to have. They're going to be classroom type trainings on the EDU 2.0 website. I will give you further information when I start these classes and the times that they'll be, so you can participate real time. I'm hoping, that's the hope. And if you have questions, I can answer them. And I'll see you then. So take care. Bye.